Okay, mate, 40 here. So the John Howard government in Australia in 2006 investigated what was going on in the child abuse problem in Aboriginal communities. And upon investigation, they found that some Aboriginal communities, every single child had been sexually molested. All right? So we hear a lot about sexual abuse problems in the Roman Catholic Church, but problems even greater in large swaths of the Aboriginal community and in parts of the African American community, but that doesn't get nearly as much attention. And it's a lot more palatable to go after the Roman Catholic Church than to go after communities of color. So one way that Australia and Canada and other nations have traditionally dealt with the astronomical rates of child abuse is to take these children away from abusive homes. But now that's gotten a bad name. Now that's called the stolen generation, that these kids were stolen. Okay, so you're stealing kids away from being abused. So there's an astronomical problem in parts of the Aboriginal community, parts of the African American community with murdering kids and abusing kids, like at a rate far in excess of what happens to Roman Catholics.
Race operates as an indicator of risk, report concluded.
This is New York Times.
The survey
race
laid out
order,
deep-seated problems,
racial equity order.
an agency that must balance protecting the safety of children and respecting the autonomy of families. A failure to detect signs of serious abuse can have tragic consequences, as a series of fatal beatings last year in families known to ACS demonstrated. But families find child welfare investigations profoundly disruptive, humiliating, and even traumatic. Casework.
Well, maybe don't abuse your kids, don't beat your kids. Maybe, treat your kids with respect, and you won't have to deal with the child protection services. That's the thought.
Workers making unannounced visits, strip search children looking for bruises, and peer into refrigerators and around homes, looking for signs of bad parenting. One ACS worker in the survey compared the experience to being stopped and frisked for 60 days. For poor families pulled into ACS's orbit, who are overwhelmingly Black and Latino, symptoms of poverty are frequently punished as signs of neglect, the survey found. Because poverty is correlated with higher rates of neglect and abuse, it is difficult to say how much the disparities in the system can be directly linked to income or to race. But according to the survey, ACS workers and other participants said that rather than starting from a presumption of innocence, Black and brown parents are treated at every juncture as if they are not competent parents capable of providing acceptable care to their children. Caseworkers said they felt pressured to push their way into people's homes and not tell parents their rights. They feel complicit in the harm that ACS can cause Black and brown families and powerless to change the system.
Okay, so most of the caseworkers are Black, most of the supervisors are Black, but somehow it's white racism that's to blame for all this.
Report stated. Most ACS caseworkers are Black, as is most leadership in the agency's Division of Child Protection, the agency said. Among the reforms recommended...
So maybe the agency isn't terribly competent. Maybe there's a competency problem, in addition to an abuse problem, in addition to a killing children problem here.
By staff members in the survey was a Miranda warning law requiring that parents be immediately informed of their rights not to speak to caseworkers and not to let them in without a court order, and to consult a lawyer. ACS has opposed such measures, arguing that they would make it harder for caseworkers to immediately assess whether children are safe. The draft report was obtained from the city via a Freedom of Information request by the Bronx Defenders, a non-profit